kicking off a new series today called Moods. And the truth is that your emotions drive and affect so much in your life. And we all deal with moods in life. And there are things that can set our moods off in a positive way, things that set our moods off in a very negative way. And you have to choose how to manage your moods, okay? Because so many people allow their moods to manage them.
Amen.
Oh, you know someone like that, don't you? You live with someone like that, don't you? And the truth is that your effectiveness in life is going to be determined by how you can manage your moods and how you properly deal with your emotions. You know, I was reading some statistics, and this is wild. This is so wild, is that 1 out of 5 people will have some sort of emotional or mental breakdown. Okay, just look down your aisle. No, don't make eye contact, okay? You might set them off, okay? Here's the thing, is that 1 out of 5 will have some sort of emotional turmoil to the degree and so extreme that it will cause some sort of a break in their life. And so this is a big deal. Now, some of us may not ever cross that line and get that extreme, but I do know this, is that your moods are affecting your behavior. Your moods are affecting your relationships. Your moods are affecting how you think about yourself and how you think about your future. And so we've got to be masters at managing our mood. And so that's what we're looking at over this series. So God created us, marvelously created us with this massive capacity to experience a wide variety of emotions. You are created with that capacity to experience a wide variety of emotions. And so with your life and in my life, we are emotional beings, and we will always have to deal with emotions. And so this is something that all of us have to be actively involved in. We all express our emotions differently, though. So you can have you can have 2 people in the exact same situation, and they are both angry about something, and one will yell and scream, and they'll have that little thing like throbbing, you know, the vein that like throbs, and you know their heart rates are going because it's faster and faster. And then you have the other person, the same situation, they're mad, they're angry, boom, they clamp it, they retreat. They're both mad, they're both angry, but they're expressing it in different ways. And so even not expressing it is expressing it. Interesting, huh? See, because you thought that you had it under control by just ignoring it. You thought you had it under control by just sweeping it under the rug and not dealing with it. Guess what? That's not the right way to express your emotions either. And so we all have to determine how we're going to properly express these emotions and process these emotions that we have. Now, in our culture today, we've got this way to express emotions. If you're texting someone, you can express all sorts of emotions through a text. Now it's hard to gather someone's emotional state through reading a message or text or an email or written. And so to help us express our emotions, there's all these emoticons, right? There's all these emojis that you can put on there, and you can, like, if you are going to be LOLing, even though very seldom do I ever LOL, but if you are, then you can put a face to what that would look like if you were actually doing that. Right? And so you read a joke someone sent you, you need to express to them that you've enjoyed this joke that they have sent, and you will put, you know, what? Super happy cry face, you know, where you're crying or you're so happy, you're so excited that you are literally shooting water out of your eyes, okay? Now, I don't know, honestly, I know I've laughed really hard. I might have teared up just a little bit from laughing, but I have never laughed so hard that I shot water out of my eyes. But yet at the same time, when I am trying to express my emotions to someone through a text, I will put that face 3 times in a row. Not once, not twice, 3 times. 4 times maybe if it's really funny, but 3 times. That's my standard. 3 little super happy cry faces. That's my standard, right? Now the truth is like many of you, when I'm actually sending that and I'm replying, this is my real expression. Right? And so here's the truth, is that all of us express our emotions, and we have to be masters at managing our emotions, and we've got to get this right. This is what it says in 3 John chapter, well, there's only one chapter, so good luck finding chapter 2. But 3 John verse 2, from the only chapter that there is, and it says, "Beloved, I pray that you prosper in all things." Amen. Isn't that good? Prosper in all things. Say amen. Say, yes, I want to prosper in all things. The Bible said I should, and he's praying that I do. So I'm going to prosper in all things and be in health. Hey, that's good. If you're suffering physically today, you got some health issues, hey, here's a Bible verse right here that says, hey, you should be in health just as your soul prospers. You know, when we think of prospering or prosperity, we think of wealth, we think of money, we think of physical things like that. You know, this verse is saying that you have the capacity for your soul to prosper. You know, many people are not living in the state of a prosperous soul. Many people are living in a state of a deficient soul, of a deteriorating soul. And many people, in fact, some of us in here today, our soul is not well. And it's these moods and the emotions that are swirling around inside of us, and the massive capacity we have to feel the wide variety of emotions is very chaotic oftentimes in our soul because we're not managing it properly. And so this verse tells us that if you're going to live the ultimate life that Jesus paid for, then there should be some peace in your soul. There should be some prospering going on in your soul. And many people aren't experiencing that. There are so many people that are not experiencing that. Now, we all know that in our body, physically, that we can be broken. That our bodies can be broken. You know, spiritually, we can be broken. We can spiritually be disconnected from the Father who created us and loved us, and we have to worship in spirit and truth. And spiritually, sin can come in and wreck that, and spiritually, we can be broken. And many people are broken in their soul. And think about that, because when someone is broken in their soul, and the soul is oftentimes referred to as your mind, your will, and your emotions. That's your soul. See, you have a body. This is not me, okay? I'm a spirit. I live in a body, and I have a soul, but I am a spirit. That's why when I'm going to transfer from this life to the next, that's still me. My body just doesn't go with me. Yeah, I've heard it said that this is my earth suit, right? You go to outer space, you need a space suit. Well, this is my earth suit, but this is not me. I just live in this. I'm kind of borrowing it, you know? And so here's the thing, is that we, spirit, soul, and body. And many people, their soul is broken. Their mind, their will, and their emotions. And so in this series, we're going to look at what does it take to have that prosperous soul? What does it take for your soul to be well? Instead of the chaos and the turmoil that many people suffer in throughout life. So there's positive and negative emotions. There's positive and negative emotions. And we've felt both. You have felt emotions that lift you up and encourage you and give you energy in life, and you have felt emotions that drag you down, that demotivate you, that leads to hopelessness or despair. You've sensed all of those. And think about this, is that God created us to feel emotions, but God created us for the positive emotions. Think about it. When God created the world, God created Garden of Eden, put people inside of it. He created us in his own likeness, his own image, and then he called us to be blessed, to prosper, to go and to multiply, to be fruitful. He wanted positive, good things for us. Sin came in, and sin wrecked that. And our amazing capacity to feel emotions have now been twisted for something negative, where now this system that we live in this fallen world is using what God created for good and trying to twist it for something that is bad in your life. And so you were created with this amazing capacity for emotions. There's good ones, there's bad ones. You're going to have to manage between them. All right, so think about this, okay? You were not created for negative emotions. For worry, for fear, for despair, for hopelessness, for shame, for guilt. You were not created to carry those emotions. And with that, there's a limit to how much of it you can stand. Right? Because there's a certain level of stress that you can operate and be fine. There's a certain level of fear or worry or something that's bothering you, and most people wouldn't know about it. You go on with your normal day. You may stay up a little bit late at night. It may affect you internally, but most people wouldn't know, and you function perfectly fine. But then it can cross over and get more and get more and get more to where there's a point you can't handle it, and the reason why is because you were never created to ever carry it. Okay, so on the positive side, the emotions that are positive emotions and good emotions, there's no limit to how much you can handle. Okay, no one, if somebody were to say, I just can't take this anymore. I don't know how much longer I can feel this way. You automatically, they're talking about those negative emotions. Not one time has anyone ever said, there's just too many people that love me, I can't handle this anymore. I don't know if I can take this much hope. No, that's never happened. You know what? I've never felt too encouraged, right? I've never felt just too motivated and too excited to say, God, this has to stop. I just can't do this anymore. No, but the negative ones, we have this limit on how much we can handle because we were never created to carry it. So let me ask you something. Why have you been carrying it? See, why are you trying to manage and handle those things in your life and that amount of worry or that amount of stress or that amount of shame or that amount of guilt, and you're trying to keep it to a level that is okay, but guess what? You were never created to carry any of that anyway. We have to push those aside, and we have to cling to those positive emotions that God is giving us. So here's this illustration how this works in our lives. So there's this process, there's this cycle that many of us are trapped in that lead us to those negative emotions. This fallen world that we live in, this is the cycle that this world lives in. And this is the environment that you and I have been brought up in, and that's what's leading us to these negative emotions that we are trying to handle. And so first, it starts with your thoughts. So go ahead and put up that first graphic. So it starts with our thoughts. So this is what you think about yourself. This is what you think about your circumstances, your situations. This is what you think about your future. So you've got this idea in your mind about the type of person you are, how people perceive you. You've got this baseline knowledge about what God thinks about you or has said about you. And based on your knowledge of those things, based on your knowledge of yourself, based on your knowledge of the circumstances, based on what you're thinking about that, then the way that it works is that if you assume or think something about a circumstance or situation, and it doesn't happen the way that you think, then it's going to lead you to an emotion. But if you thought differently about it, that same circumstance could happen, and it would lead you to a different emotion. And so it starts with this thought in your mind. And so our thoughts will then lead us to how we feel. And that's the next part. It's our feelings. And so what you think about something is going to determine your feelings. Let me play the scenario out for you. You're on Facebook, right? And you're scrolling, and you see 6 of your friends at a movie. All right? So all of a sudden, you're thinking what you know about them, what you know about yourself, what you know about the relationship, how you think all of that's perceived. If it's wrong and off base, then you're going to move out of some sort of insecure feeling, and you're going to think, they must not want me there. They didn't invite me to the movie. And then you have this thought that they don't really like spending time with me. And so all of a sudden, as soon as you think that, your feelings are insecure, your feelings are offended, your feelings are hurt, and so that thought leads to that. Now, same situation, you're scrolling and you do that, and you see that, depends on your thinking, and you think, oh, they knew that I wasn't going to be able to go tonight. That's why they didn't invite me. And if that's what you're thinking, if that's what your knowledge base is, then your feelings aren't hurt. Same circumstance, same situation, depends on your thinking. And so our thinking leads to our feelings, and then our feelings lead to behavior. See, this is where it gets a little sticky, right? Because you see your friends on Facebook, and the 6 of them are at the movie, and you're thinking they must not like me, they don't want to spend time with me, I knew they didn't really laugh at my jokes, and when they put LOL, they weren't really LOLing, and all that, and you start thinking all that, and then your feelings are hurt, and so then you fire off a text to them, right? And your behavior is now driven by this, and you fire off this text that says, sure does look like you're having fun at the movie, thanks for inviting me, right? And if you're really bold, you send like that mean, angry face, right? You do that, right? And so your thoughts lead to your feelings, and your feelings lead to these behaviors. And sure, now maybe not the Facebook movie scenario with your friends, but this does happen in your home, where you have these thoughts, this knowledge base, or these expectations that you have in your mind, and then a spouse doesn't live up to it, and then you have these feelings based on that. Well, they must not really care about me, because if they would care about me, they would have met these expectations, and then you're hurt like that, and so then you give them the silent treatment, and that's your behavior. And you go through this process. Your thoughts that, man, nobody's ever going to love me, and I'm going to be like 40 years old, and I'm going to die a hermit, and all these thoughts, and it leads you to these feelings of loneliness, and I need someone, and these feelings of longing for some sort of approval, and then it leads to behavior, dating people you have no business dating. You end up settling for people in your behavior to allow people to have access to your heart that should have no access to your heart, but you're so needy because of these feelings, your behavior then takes you in a place of destruction in your life, and you're caught in the cycle, because after you think about it and you feel it and you behave it, then it leads to regret. And then you live in this state of regret, thinking, why did I do those things? Why did I act this way? Why did I say yes to that person? Why did I give in to this? Why did I say those words? Why did I blow up and be angry and ruin that relationship? Why did I call them that name? And all of a sudden we start living in regret. And you know what regret does? It leads you into these feelings of, I'm not worthy, and I'm not good enough, and all these thoughts about yourself, and I've messed up before, I'm going to mess up again. And if that's your thinking, then you're going to feel that way, and you're going to behave that way, and you're going to regret it, and you're going to be trapped in the cycle, and that is where most people live. And you can identify that in your own life, and you can identify it in the people that live at home with you. And some of you don't say anything, but you're sitting next to that person that you identify that with, okay? And so all of us have this cycle in our lives, and that's how most people live, and that's how most people will spend their entire life living trapped in that cycle. And guess what? There's a better way. There is a better way to live than being trapped in that cycle. And so you and I can become masters of managing our moods. You and I can do this. So when you were growing up, maybe you played this game. I played this game a couple of times, and got to admit, probably not all that good at it, but I just want to try it out right now. You've played the game Simon Says, right? Y'all know the game Simon Says, okay? So Simon says, well, let's do this together. A little bit of participation in church is a good thing. So let's do this. Simon says, raise your right arm. I'm waiting for everyone to raise their right arm. Okay, here we go. Okay, so Simon says, raise your right arm. Now, you've played this game before a little bit, and you know how it works. Go ahead and put it down. So okay, so here's the thing, is that Simon says, put your arm down, because some of y'all would all service. Okay, here's the thing, is that we have played that game, and if you're playing the game, when I played, I always liked to be Simon, right? I did not want to be the one that was following the instructions. I wanted to be Simon. I wanted to call the shots, and I wanted everyone to follow along with what I had to say. Well, guess what? Your emotions want to be Simon. Your emotions want to dictate to you what you should do. Your emotions want to drive you and control you. You have to make the choice to control your emotions. If you're taking notes, the title of this message is Follow the Leader. Follow the leader. Too many people are following their emotions when we need to cause our emotions to follow us. So we have to flip the script a little bit, and we have to be the one that says, no, I'm going to be Simon, and I'm going to take responsibility for how I feel. I'm going to take responsibility for my emotions, and I'm going to control my emotions. And guess what? God has given you the capacity, the capability to control your emotions. See, some people wouldn't even try. They'd say, why are you being mean to me? Because I'm mad. Why are you doing this? Because I wanted to. That's your emotions driving your life. And so instead, you and I can take responsibility, and we can cause our emotions to follow us. We need to direct our emotions. Now this is what the thing is that cycle the world lives in, that cycle that so many people are trapped in. This is what the Bible says in Colossians 3:13. It says that for He, God, has rescued us from the kingdom of darkness, this world system of operating. He's rescued us from the kingdom of darkness, and He's transferred us into the kingdom of His dear Son. See, God has a different way for us to operate. We don't have to be trapped in this world system of our negative emotions driving our lives. We can be transferred out of that system and into a kingdom of God that will transform our lives, where we can manage our emotions and then have the soul, the prosperous soul that the Bible has called us to have. And like Jesus said in John 10:10, that He's come to give us life and life more abundantly. That's what we can experience. We don't have to live in the chaos of this world. And so what is the solution? How are we going to manage these emotions? How are we going to master them? This is what we're going to do. And I've got 4 points, and it'll go along, and it's going to kind of contrary to the world system, the way that God wants us to do it. So number one, if you're taking notes, you can write this down. If you're not taking notes, then just write it down anyway, and you'll thank me for it later. So number one, this is what we got to do, is we need to set your mind. Okay, set your mind. So it starts in your thoughts, right? And so your thoughts will drive your emotions. And so you can change what you're thinking about. You don't have to just think about whatever you want to, or whatever starts popping up in your head. You can choose to think about whatever you want. You can change the way that you're thinking about circumstances, situations. You can change the way that you think about yourself. And in fact, one of the later messages is going to be about how to reprogram the schema that's in your mind and the context that you live in and what's causing you to think a certain way and live a certain way. One of those messages is going to deal specifically with the practical things, the life skills that you need in order to change some of that. But you and I can set our mind. This is what it says in Colossians 3:2. It says to set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. That is so clear for you and I to live this way. Set your mind on things above, not on these earthly things. And so the verse that we read said that we've been transferred out of this world, out of the kingdom of darkness, and into the kingdom of God. So why do so many Christians, even Christians, continue to think about earthly things when you've been brought out of that system? See, the way that this world thinks about relationships and ourselves and our circumstances, our situations, there's the Murphy's Law, right? That is the world system of operating. Just expect things to go bad, expect the worst to happen. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to mess it up. That thinking is the world's thinking. You've been transferred out of that and into God's kingdom. So we need to set our minds on things above, not on earthly things. And this is what it says in Romans 8:6. It says, so letting your sinful nature control your mind. That's our natural way of thinking, this world system. Control your mind. What does it do? It leads to death. But there's a different way to live. You and I are called to live differently. Letting the Spirit, that's God's kingdom, control your mind leads to life and peace. Man, some people could really use some peace in their life. Some people are in a lot of turmoil and chaos in their life. And that turmoil and that chaos is wrecking relationships, is wrecking families, is wrecking their workplace, and wrecking the future that God has for them because of the chaos and the turmoil that they're feeling. And we're called that if we live differently, we can actually experience peace. Now you know some people in your life that aren't experiencing peace. They don't live in peace. They don't project peace. They don't share peace, right? You have been around some people that are drama kings and drama queens, right? You get around them and chaos is just swirling, and you can get caught in the effects of the chaos that's in their own life, and you can be around someone and you leave and all of a sudden you're mad and grumpy and angry and upset and you don't even know why, and it's just because they rubbed off on you, right? And so and we're going to talk about limiting toxic people in your life in one of these next messages too. But here's the thing, is that you can set your mind on things above and not allow all that chaos and all that to come into your life. You can experience real peace. You know, this is what's kind of hard about this though, is it's simple, but it's not easy. It's simple, it's something you can do, but God's not going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else can set your mind on things above. In fact, if anything, other people will try to pull you back into thinking on things of this world and things that are earthly. So only you can set your mind on things above. That's a choice and a decision you have to make. It's an effort you have to put in to set your mind on things above. If you're waiting for your spouse to help you do it, no. If you were waiting for me to preach the most amazing message so that your mind clicks and switches and you thought that was going to do it, no. I can give you some principles. I can encourage you. I can kind of give you some signs that point you in the right direction, but nobody can set their mind on things above except for you doing it for yourself. Right. And so you can do this and make this choice to do it. You have to make the effort to do it. Here's the thing, is that this world that we live in, this environment that is around us, is this gravitational pull to this negative things. There's this gravitational pull in this world for us to think about the worldly system of stuff and earthly things and to drag us down. And so it's a constant pull on us to do that. And so we have to then make the choice constantly to think on things above. This isn't a one-time choice. You know, some of you've risen your hand in the last couple of weeks. You've responded to a message. You've surrendered your life to Christ, and you made that choice. Guess what? It doesn't matter if you did that last week, 2 months ago, or a year ago. You have to make that choice today to set your mind on things above. It's not this one-time choice that you just live the rest of your life. I've now set my mind on things above. No, you choose all the time to set your mind on things above. See, some of you, these emotions swirl in our lives, and if you're like me, you feel this wide expanse gamut of emotions where you're sad, where you're happy, where you're excited, you're hopeful, you wonder, and you're maybe a little bit of despair, and then you get out of bed. I mean, Ari, man, it is wild. And so you and I have to make that choice all the time to set my mind on things above. And the thing is we've been living in this world system and trapped for so long, it's going to take a lot to shift out of that. It's going to take some time to break free from that. And you'll make one choice to set your mind on things above, and then something's going to set you back, and you're going to choose again, and then you're going to choose again. And you know what? Over time, if you're consistent with this, then you'll retrain your brain, and it's going to be so much better. And all of a sudden, you're going to realize, I haven't even thought that way. I haven't even felt that way. I haven't had that negative stuff in my life for so long. I'm so glad I'm free from that. It takes some time, though, and you have to be consistent with it. I heard this statement about setting your mind on things above and how you can choose what you think about. And I heard this statement, because this is so true for so many of us, is don't be the party planner for your own pity party. Right? Don't be the party planner for your own pity party. You know, so often we enjoy so often feeling bad. I mean, something upsets us, something makes us mad, a relationship doesn't work out right, and we want to feel bad. And then we call people that will feel bad with us, right? And share in this badness with us. And really, you're not going to call the person that's going to call you out and say, hey, straighten up, this isn't right, you're thinking wrong. You're not going to call that person. I mean, you're going to avoid that person for a couple of weeks so that you can just wallow in that pity for as long as possible, right? And why is that? We get a little bit of a payoff for that. There's some emotional trigger that happens where there's some sense of relief when we give into that, but it's so temporary, it's short-lived, and it drifts away, and it leads you to a place of despair. No, you got to fight against that. It's easier to do that. It is easier to feel bad for yourself than to pick yourself up. It is easier to feel pity, to feel like the victim, to feel sorry for you. It is easier to do that. You're going to have to choose to set your mind on things above and not give in to those feelings. You're going to have to choose to do that and push away. So number one is we have to set our minds. Number two, I'm going to guard my heart. I'm going to guard my heart. You know, these feelings that we have, these emotions that we have, we can't just allow any emotion to pop up in our heart and us give into it. You cannot trust your emotions. Your emotions are going to lie to you. Your moods are not going to be correct. Your moods are not going to be accurate. And so we have to guard our heart, and we have to say, wait a minute, that's not welcome here. You know, we guard anything that's valuable. We guard the things in life that are valuable. My money is locked away, okay? It's not in my pillow. It's not under my mattress. My money is locked away, right? My house, I lock my doors, and I'm often carrying, okay? And so I'm going to guard things, okay? My daughter, Addison, she looks a lot like me. She's a beautiful girl. And so here's the thing. In fact, whenever Addison was born, somebody told me, wow, for an ugly guy, you make a pretty good-looking girl. Anyway, so here's the thing, is that Addison, she's valuable. I'm going to guard Addison with like a host of angels and an AK-47. I'm going to guard Addison, right? Because we guard the things that are valuable to us. You know, I was in Albania a couple years ago and traveled from Albania into Macedonia and saw some old churches that were built in like the 400s, y'all. 400 AD. And like the descendants that were saved by the Apostle Paul built those churches, right? And so we're in Albania and we go over to Macedonia. Guess what happened when we're transferring from Albania to Macedonia? There's a border guard. And these guards at the border would verify that you can come and go, that you're allowed to get in, that you're allowed to come out, and the border guards would verify that you should be doing this. You know, we need to do that in our heart. We need to have some border guards in our heart that stand there and say, wait a minute, I need to verify that you belong here. I need to verify that you can come into my heart. And you know what the verification system is? Right here, people. Right? You go to the Word of God and you say, wait a minute, should I be feeling shame? Should I feel guilt? Should I be feeling hopeless? What does this Bible say? Do I allow that emotion? Do I allow that in my... Where's your passport? Show me your passport, guilt. You don't belong here. No, what we do is we go to the Word of God and we say, no, there is no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. I'm not going to allow shame and guilt into my heart. No, the Bible says that I have a hope and that I have a future. I'm not going to let despair into my heart. No, you're going to turn them away. We have to guard our heart. Put up some checkpoints. You know, ladies, don't let just any guy have access to your heart. You got to have some verification systems in place. You got to have a job, mister. Right. You got to treat your mama okay, right? I'm going to check out your Facebook and see what you were doing the last couple of Saturday nights before I let you have access to my heart. We guard our heart. And so we have to put up these guards and these blocks and say, I am going to guard my heart. And the reason why is, let me see if I didn't put the scripture in there. The scripture says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth is going to speak. It says that the heart is the source, and all of the issues of life flow from the heart. Well, if you're letting a bunch of junk into your heart, then all these issues of your life are going to be flowing from a polluted place. And so we guard our heart to create an environment in our heart where the rest of our life can be the source of that and flow from that heart. We got to guard our heart. Number 3, this is what we got to do. We got to live it out. You got to live it out. We got to put some action to these things. Setting our mind and guarding our heart are very intangible things. They're invisible things. They're internal things. But there's got to be this transfer that happens from the internal things that we're doing that has to start there, but then we have to begin to live it out. This is what it says in Galatians 5:22 and 23. It says, but the fruit, that's the evidence, the thing that is actually produced in our life, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Oh, snap. So that's what your behavior ought to be. That's what you should be living out in your life. That's the fruit that you should be producing in your life. And the next part of that verse says, against such things there is no law. Real quickly, I know we're running out of time, but let me point this out, is that when you are living the fruit of the Spirit and those positive things that you were created for, there's no limit to it. You don't have to restrict those things, because laws restrict bad behavior, right? See, laws say that you can do certain stupid, bad things for yourself, but when it gets to the point you start affecting other people's lives, we have laws to stop that negative behavior to affect too many people. That's what a law does. A law restricts. A law cannot promote positive behavior. A law can only restrict negative behavior. So when it says against such there is no law, it's because there's no restriction to that. There's no limit that has to say, whoa, wait, that's just too much kindness. Hold off right now, you're being too nice. No, wait, no. It says these things. There's no limit to it. There's no restrictions to these things. You can live in such peace and you can live in such wholeness and completeness. You don't have to be sitting there questioning and wondering, is this okay for me to do? Should I be living this way? We don't live with regret at that point. No. Why? Because there's nothing wrong that will ever happen with those things. And so we don't ever have to restrict those things. We have the capacity for those things in our lives. Number 4, if you're taking notes, you can write this down. We'll end with this one since I'm almost out of time. This leads to delight. Instead of living a life of regret, you begin to live a life of delight, of pleasure, of peace, of wholeness, of fullness, the abundant life that Jesus paid for. There's a system that you can set your mind, you can guard your heart, you can live it out, and you can live this life of enjoyment and fulfillment. You don't have to be trapped in a life of regret and in a negative cycle of life that just leads you to more despair and hopelessness. We've been transferred out of that, and we've been put into the kingdom of God so that you and I can experience the fullness of life that God created us to experience. But if it's going to happen, we're going to have to manage our moods, and we're going to have to get control over these negative things in our lives. And so over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at some of the life skills that are necessary, some of the practical things that we can do that is going to transfer us from this world system to God's system so that we can live this life free of regret and live the life to the absolute max and fullness and the capacity that God's given us to experience a good life. Let's pray. God, thank you for this message. God, I just pray for those in here today that are struggling emotionally. That right now, emotionally, there's some chaos and there's some turmoil in their life. And God, thank you that you have given them the ability to control that, the ability to manage that. But then, God, thank you so much that you didn't leave us on our own to do it ourselves. That, God, you are right there with us, and that you have promised to be a present help in time of need. And so, God, those today that are in here that are hurt, that feel guilt, that feel shame, that are experiencing those negative emotions and moods that they haven't been able to break free from, God, I'm going to ask your Holy Spirit to be here today to help in this time of need. that your Holy Spirit is a comforter. And where there's a broken heart, God, you're the healer of the broken heart. And for too long, we've been trapped in that cycle of negative worldly cycle. And today, we can break free from it. If you're in here today and you would recognize that you've struggled with these things emotionally, that you've for too long been controlled by your moods instead of you controlling them, and it doesn't lead to peace, and it's wearing you out. And this morning, you want to break free from that. This morning, you want the freedom that comes through Jesus. You want the peace that is available. You don't want to live a life of regret. You're ready to embrace a life of delight. If that's you this morning, I want you to raise your hand. I see your hand, thank you. I see your hand, I see your hand, thank you. Leave your hands up, I see your hand, I see your hand. Holy Spirit, I pray that you begin to move in these people's lives today. You set them free from the chains that have bound them to those negative emotions, the soul ties that have dragged them back into those negative feelings, that have dragged them back into those negative memories. God, I pray that right now that their thoughts change, that their thoughts begin to line up with your word of God, that they take captive every thought that is against what you've said about them and said about their circumstances and said about their future, where they begin to agree with your word, where they have that checkpoint, where they say, no, this is not allowed in my life any longer because it does not agree with what God has said about me. I reject you. And God, as they do that, God, I pray that they experience peace, a peace that surpasses understanding, a peace that this world can't provide, and that, God, they begin to live a life of abundance like you paid for them. In Jesus' name, amen. Give God a hand this morning.